down my product selection to what it is today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Stacy. So Stacy challenges were around market research specifically, which is what we're going to talk about today, around testing her product, figuring out who her audience was, and Akil's was around data collection, which is also a part of market research. So what exactly is market research? Market research is the systematic process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting information about the market, including its potential customers, your competitors, and your industry's trends. Why is this so important? One, because it helps you gain insights on your customer base, something that Stacy could have used in making the decision on which product to have in the market. It helps you make informed decisions about your product development, something that Akil could have utilized when trying to figure out if his market was niche for consulting or if it was a broader market that he could service. And then lastly, it helps you to create marketing strategies that are innovative, as well as captivating campaigns that target specifically who your consumer is. So how do you conduct market research specifically to identify your target audience? The first thing you need to do is to define your research objectives. Then you need to collect the data, identify those audiences, there may be multiple, create what's called a buyer persona, and then begin to tailor your marketing strategies to your said consumer base. So the first thing you need to do before you do anything for your marketing research is have your goals or objectives defined. The best way to do that is the SMART method. Make sure that your goals are specific, make sure that they're measurable, make sure they're achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Clarifying the information that you want to seek and gather helps to create better information around your marketing strategy as you go into the data collection phase. So what are some examples of specific objectives? They need to have a quantitative factor to them. So here are some examples: an increased website traffic by 20%, opening 2 new store locations, launching a new product line that targets millennials with at least 3 unique features. As you can see, whether it's a numerical number, a store location, certain features you want to have, there's always a quantitative value to the objective. Why is this important? Because once you have quantitative data, you can now measure it out, which is the second part of your objective. It needs to be measurable. So some examples include maybe you need to achieve a customer satisfaction rating of 90%. You want to generate $50,000 in sales revenue from an upcoming seasonal campaign. Or you want to simply grow your email subscriber list by 15% by the end of the quarter. So the qualitative factors are still in place, but now you also have something to measure it by, which is where this information will show up in order to be the most impactful. So in the first example, it's showing up in your surveys, the second in your revenues, and the third in your email subscriber list. As we go through today's presentation, I want you all to start to think about the language that you would use if you needed to create SMART objectives for your market research, because at some point during this process, you will need to be able to articulate these ideas in a clear and concise way, not just for your own personal business, but also as you prepare for your pitch. Next, your goal needs to be achievable. This means that it needs to be within the realm of possibility with your current structure. Many of you are solo entrepreneurs. Many of you are the operating manager, the front of house, everything to your businesses. You need to make sure that your goals are able to be achieved within the realm of what you can do now. So maybe it's as simple as increasing your social media following, or it could be expanding an online product catalog. If you came to Metadate, we talked extensively about the benefits of doing cataloging for your digital stores. Or you need to reduce your customer response time if you have a more service-based business where communication and turnaround time of that communication is important, by implementing a streamlined support process. So is your goal also achievable? Again, these examples also have the quantitative factor, the measuring factor, but is it achievable within the realm of your structure? So be very critical and honest with yourself as we're going forward in this, when we're thinking about what those goals would look like. Lastly, are they relevant? Is it relevant to what you are aiming to achieve for your business at this point in time? So usually when we're talking about a relevant goal, we're talking about immediate goals. So not too far out in the future, mainly between maybe a 30-day to 60-day cycle, depending on the way that your product or your consumer journey is structured. It could be 6 to 12-month cycles, but no more than that. They need to be relevant and immediately measurable. So examples of that could be enhancing your brand's image by partnering with local charities, developing a launch or a mobile app to improve your customer shopping experience and accessibility. For my retailers in the room who are hybrid, who are doing maybe both brick and mortar or a little bit online and a little bit in person, the farmers market folks, this is a tangible tool that you can use that can be relevant to where your business is right now. And make sure that those goals, again, still have the other measurable factors that should be included. And then a time bound. Make sure that there's a deadline, a finish line for your goals. Launching in a summer collection by the end of April to capitalize on peak vacation season. That is a time restricted objective. Completing a web design project with 8 weeks to align with an upcoming marketing campaign is a time-defined objective. You need to have all of these pieces to make sure that your objectives are definitive enough for you to then create audiences around them, utilizing the different parts of the market research process. So let's take a moment here to think about some of the things that we've talked about, some of the examples that were shared. And I'd like to hear some feedback on what are some SMART goals that we could set for the different sample products here. So the first is a botanical hair care line made with natural products. The second is a bakery that's looking to sell prepackaged cookies. The third is a tech repair company that also sells parts for laptops, and a clothing store launching a new collection. So first, I want you all to think, do we have enough information to set SMART goals about the 4 businesses? By a show of hands, who thinks that we do? No? Does everybody feel like we need a little bit more information in order to set SMART objectives here? Fabiola thinks that we have enough, yes, a bit more. Okay.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Good.
Okay, I think I understand that. I think this picture need more information for that. The Is you wanna project the. I'm sorry for my English when I get nervous.
No,
But
it's
I
okay.
try.
It's
Go
okay.
ahead.
You're doing great. Mm-hmm.
Okay. You tell right now that is you need to thinking smart and the smart objectives. You need to put something like okay, the first picture you need to put some nice cream for the hands, and you buy this. I collect maybe 2% for the donated in the and the person that have skin cancer. I don't know. This is
So some more information about who their audience might be would be helpful.
yeah.
Okay.
When you put a image, but I don't know if the that you refer that with that image, no?
Understood. So we can all, thank you so much, Fabiola, for sharing. So we can all agree that we don't have enough information to make SMART goals just yet, correct? We need a little more information, maybe about the audience, about where they're currently selling, about what product they are trying to launch, right? So I'm glad that you all caught that, because all of that information is done through collecting data. And for the purposes of targeting your audience, there are different ways to gather the relevant data information through various resources. As we go through this, I'm speaking directly to you all as small businesses. Why is this important? Because your resources, especially the resource of time, may be limited. Budgets may also be limited. So everything that we're focusing on in this process is for you to optimize some of the things that you may already have access to. And it's just about retooling and reutilizing them in a more innovative way to create the desired results. So for the purpose of collecting data here towards target audiences, it's important to look at surveys, social media, and also to do some competitor analysis. So here's a table of some of the market research tools that can be utilized for data and the pros and cons of each. First is social media listening. This is simply taking the time to look at how your customers are engaging with you on your social media platforms. If you have a social media following, or if you find that you get customers from social media, if you could just raise your hands or put in the chat, I just want to see how many of you are actually using the platforms. Stacy. LinkedIn, Akil uses LinkedIn, awesome. I know a few of you from CEO definitely have social media followings as well. This is a great way for you to capture data about trends in your market. It's also a great way for you to understand who the influencers are in your market. Why is that important? Because depending on your product or service, they could be also direct competitors or potential partners for expanding your brand. The con of social media listening is that you don't really have control over the data quality. Why? Because there are people who may passively go on your page and just look. You don't have much control over the algorithm and where you show up in it, especially nowadays. Also, there may be a lack of context around the insights that you read. Unless you're utilizing the ad campaign functions in your social media, it may be a little intimidating to go in and look at the analytic information from your ads, or even to understand what they mean towards defining your target audience. But the retail industries that can utilize social media listening are pretty wide. Almost every faction of retail is able to utilize social media in one way or another to understand online consumer behaviors. The second is the competitor analysis. It helps you to identify the market gaps and learn from others' successes and mistakes. It's a great way for you to benchmark. When you're talking about that timepiece of the goals, it's a great way for you to benchmark where you're at versus where you need to be. The trick is to not get caught up in exactly what your competitor is doing. You don't want to imitate, you want to innovate. You want to look at what they're doing and then assess it and find ways to either fill the need that they're not, or find ways to be competitive with or against them in the market. Competitor analysis may have a cost associated with them. There's general information about your competitors that you can find on their social media and maybe on websites, but there may be a cost or registration to get business insights towards unique strategies. Again, competitor analysis is a tool that you can use across any of the retail industries because it helps you to better access and assess your competitive landscape. The next one is to do online surveys and polls. It's quick data collection, it's easily shareable, you can reach a global audience with it. There's also a functionality of it that allows you to get insights, how many people actually answered your survey. And you can create it within your social media platforms. So you don't have to navigate outside of the tools and instruments that you're already using in order to create these polls. You also already have a captive audience if you're doing online surveys and polls through social media. The only issue is that there's a limited depth of response. You can't control how many people are going to actually respond to your survey. You also may not be able to utilize as many character options or different styles of question asking, depending on where you're deploying your survey or your poll. It also may attract biased response. If someone isn't expecting polls from you, or if this person is outside of your target audience, but maybe they've purchased before, then that could create a different answer than what you're generally looking for your data. Most online-based retail industries and those who are seeking to target a more broad customer demographic, such as electronics, fashion, healthcare, and beauty, they are more suited to online polls and surveys. So a little more information about optimizing surveys, because it really is one of the easiest ways for you as a business owner to collect data on your audience utilizing the marketing research, is to keep your surveys really concise and focus on the key areas of interest. It also eliminates some of those negative features of surveying. If you have brief, really descriptive questions that speak directly to your audience, you're more likely to get responses back. Using very clear and concise languages, make sure that it's in the prominent language of your audience, helps you to ensure that you're getting reliable data. And it's always great to use a mix of questions. So the different types of questions that you can ask typically on a poll or survey would be a multiple choice question. That helps you steer the conversation to your defined responses and outcomes. You could use a rating scale. This is more for preferential, perspective-based information where you're wanting to check the temperature, maybe attitudes or preferences. And then lastly is to do open-ended questions. This allows for a direct response and almost a review of sorts and feedback from your audience. So we're gonna do our first activity. We are going to break you up into groups of 6 to work on this activity for a little bit. If you have any questions at all at any point, please make sure that you ask. I'll be bouncing around throughout the rooms to assist you as you need. Also take this opportunity to get to know each other. You all are gonna be with each other for the next 2 weeks. Take this time to make sure that you're communicating. And remember that even though this is an activity with a hypothetical situation, everything that you're doing can and should be applied to your business, and more importantly, should be applied overall for your pitch deck and your proposals. So here's the basis of the activity. Honest Threads is a boutique that specializes in eco-friendly fashion. By conducting market research, they discover there's a growing interest in sustainable clothing among environmentally conscious consumers, particularly young adults aged 25 to 35 with higher education levels. Through data analysis, they identify this segment as eco-fashion enthusiasts and create detailed buyer personas for them. They learned that this group prioritizes ethically produced clothing made from sustainable materials and prefers shopping online through social media platforms. Now, this company is interested in creating a collection of sustainable swimwear for young adults, but they need more information about the frequency of this new audience to purchase. They want to launch in spring, but notice that historically, their online sales are higher in the fall and winter for this new segment. So in your groups, you're going to create a short survey to identify the buying behaviors for this segment. It cannot be more than 5 questions. Keep in mind what you already know about this segment from the 2 previous slides. And is there an opportunity for action to be taken on social media?
Gabriel is. Hi.
Hi.
Want to share?
Introduce it then.
Hi.
My
Hi.
name is Gabriel from Two Guys, which is vegan candle companies, and we have a skincare and body care line. Okay, so I think we talk about if this is going to be for travel, vacation, for leisure, for using in your home.
Mhm.
Also the preference styles. Some of them are depending on the age also that matters. Also, if they like um, different, like a different color, like follow a pattern of the Pantone color of every year.
Okay.
If they like more of a solid colors or patterns or stripes or print, what type of print they like. If they like flowers. Also, another thing is if they're going to be using it for vacation
Mm-hmm.
or leisure. Also, what type of platform, social media they have, they prefer, what they favor, and also if they are really concerned about the impact on the environment about clothing, and because that way they can choose the right textures, textile, and also the type of sustainable issues. And what about the price point?
Price point. Okay.
Which is, I think that's more than 5 questions.
It was more than 5 questions, yes, but the questions toward the end were more so geared towards what the information is that they were looking for. So remember, they know that they want to do this line in fall, right? They know they want to, excuse me, in summer because it's swimwear, but they know that historically they get higher purchases in fall or winter. So they're, in addition to the questions around sustainability, because we know from the profile that that is who their audience is, right? We know that they're interested in that. They're part of this eco
Really?
enthusiastic fashion buyer. But also, we need to know if they're going to buy immediately in spring or not. If they're going to buy, should I do a winter sale? Should I do a preview for them before the season? Are they more likely to buy after season? So when you're thinking about those survey questions, think about what you already know about your audience. What patterns they want, yes, that could be important if we were looking specifically to see what type of swimwear they prefer to wear. But the exercise was around understanding the frequency of the buyer. So yes, that was definitely good information about the audience, and you utilized that to create some survey questions. Does anybody else want to share their questions?
I had suggested you could do like a multiple choice
Mhm.
on what is your preferred material, and then you could put like hemp, linen, wool, or silk.
Okay. All right, Melissa, tell us about your business and who you are.
Hi, my name is Melissa Bautista. I have a custom and accessory retail e-commerce store.
Okay, great. So this is right up your alley.
Yeah.
What other questions did you have?
Well, I didn't know it was swimwear, but I was suggesting like whether or not, well, you can wear long sleeve and short sleeve somewhere. Could ask them like if what type of like design are they interested in? I guess like full body bathing suit, short bodies, one pieces. We could give like another, you could do a multiple choice. You could put like full bathing suit, two-piece bathing suit. You could do a fill in the blank where they could put their type of bathing suit that they like.
Okay.
Be another suggestion. Or somewhere accessories. What accessories would you like to
Okay.
use in the summer?
No one thought to ask where the clientele is located as a survey question, or where they're traveling for vacation? Because that would give some insight on the frequency, right, of when they would be purchasing this. If they live here, we don't really have a winter. We sell bathing suits all year round. So they could launch this product if their audience is in Florida at any time of the year, essentially, and they would have a market, right? But if they live in Wisconsin, there's a very specific time of year where they would be buying bathing suits, and it would be specifically to travel somewhere warmer than Wisconsin. We could assume that, right? So when you are doing the survey, be very critical of the information that has already been given to you. That's not what you need to echo. Remember, the purpose of the survey is to collect the data that you don't have, that you need. You need the insight on this to complete your buyer persona and your target audience. Why? Because it's part of your market research. What you don't know, somebody said it in the chat earlier when we discussed at the beginning about, you know, a time where you had to make a decision about your business and you didn't have all the information. We are trying to satisfy that need with these surveys. The purpose of data collection is so you can know what you didn't before. But great job on the first exercise, you all. We're going to do a couple more exercises like that. I want you all to start exercising that entrepreneurial muscle. Start thinking about it as the owner of your business and what you would need to know about your product and your audience to move forward, okay? So as you are identifying these audiences, you're going to be able to use different levels of your market research to define this audience specifically for your pitch deck, which is going to be part of the assignment. And then not only will you define it, you'll be able to learn how to analyze the demographic, psychographic, and behavioral data by creating what's called a buyer's persona. So why is this important? Because you as a small business are operating with limited resources. We've said it before and we will continue to say it. You need to allocate the minimum amount of time, sometimes financial resource, while still being able to maximize your efforts. You need to be able to identify your target audience to ensure that it's focused and make sure that your outreach is efficient, that you're speaking to who is interested in your product or service. And you need to know your audience's preferences. That allows you to create personalized marketing messages and also to tailor the campaigns to them so that they resonate better and you get better results. So let's take a moment to think about this. Have you ever received on social media or in your email an advertisement for a product that you have no interest? You've never bought this product, you've never heard of this brand. Have you ever received an advertising like that where you were like, how did this get to me? By a show of hands. Yes? Okay, in the chat as well. Stacy, yes. It's happened to all of us. We get the spam message and we're like, how did this even get to me? Elmer as well, okay. This was mine. If you're on social media during the pandemic, you've seen this makeup brand before. I do not utilize makeup like that. I've never purchased makeup online, not through my app, not through anything like that. But there was a moment in time where all I saw was this particular brand. Every time I opened my Instagram, every time I opened, even in my Instagram stories, interrupter ads for this brand. And I'm wondering how did I find myself in their funnel? How did I find myself in their audience? Because I don't use this product. I've never heard of it. I'm not really a makeup girl. I don't follow makeup pages. So, you know, I'm wondering about it, but I also realized that at some point in time, I ended up purchasing this product eventually. So maybe their aggressive marketing worked, or maybe it's because I follow 4 different makeup influencers, even though I don't wear it, I like their other content, who partner with this product. So outside of your primary audience, there's this secondary audience that you can capture based on behaviors and lifestyles. I don't personally use this makeup, but my online activity would suggest that I could because I follow people who do. And I shared that to share with you about the importance of the psychographic and behavioral data. We've talked about the number part of it, about being quantitative, making sure it's measurable, but there's also information around beliefs, interests, values, lifestyles that you can gather from your social media audience. You can do that information and find it through surveys. If you're more advanced, you can do it through social media analytics, or you can simply look at your customer feedback to determine how they feel about your product. You can also explore the purchasing behaviors and shopping frequency of your brand and who have you generated brand loyalty with. You can also utilize your transaction records if you have a loyalty program, and if you have a website, you can track the traffic from there to give you more information about how your audience behaves. All of that information can be combined to create these different buyer personas for your audience. So when we're creating it for the purposes of your pitch and your assignment, it's important for you to be able to speak knowledgeably, not just about your brand, but also about your audience. When people feel like that you understand who you're speaking to, they're more incentivized to buy into what it is that you're selling. Understanding the demographic, the professional status, the psychographics, influences and information sources, the pain points of your audience, and purchasing process can help you to create a robust profile that's not only to be used internally, but also to share with others who may be interested in partnering with you, networking with you, or investing in your business. And that's something that we're all looking for, right? Francois ended up buying the, yes. It's a great product, but I was like, I don't know how that got to me. Let's start with the demographic. The demographic information is general: age, gender, sex, location, your family status, your level of location. This information can be sourced mainly through social media. If you're an avid social media user, if your audience is on social media, most of this information can be found on their user profiles. The professional status as well. Akil mentioned LinkedIn. LinkedIn gives you a snapshot about your consumer's professional life, their history, also the things that they're engaging with. It gives you their job title, industry, the work arrangement, sometimes if they're in office or remote, and the level of seniority, and sometimes even income information. All of this information can be collated to help make a more robust buyer profile for you. And again, you're not sourcing this from anywhere that you don't already know how to navigate or utilize to find customers. Psychographics, values around beliefs, political views, and lifestyle. This can be a little more, it takes a little more effort to find this information. But if you have a consumer base that posts a lot online, you can discern this information from that, or you can do a survey to see specifically what those values or beliefs are. Political views, if you're in the Facebook landscape at all, there's a lot of conversation and discourse around that. You can discern a lot from Facebook threads. Lifestyle, you can get from the more image or experience-based social media, such as Instagram and TikTok, where people are always tagging their location, talking about what events they attend. The same thing with Facebook. If people are RSVPing for events through Facebook, there's a feature that allows them to share it to their profile as well. Any of the more sharing platforms, you can create at least an outline of what the lifestyle would look like for your buyer. Influences and information sources. This is how I got caught up with the foundation. They saw that I followed certain influencers and thought leaders. Even though I had never used the product, I don't really post about makeup products. They saw that I followed people that's part of their content in makeup. You can also do preferred websites and blogs. If people like different blogs on Facebook or on LinkedIn, you can see what their favorite social networks are, which you all really did a great job of highlighting that with the survey question, right? Most of you included what social media are you on in your survey. You can try to figure out what their favorite digital media is. Again, that's something that you can find from data collection via a survey, or their favorite events and conferences. Event information is widely shared online. People want you to know where they are. People want you to know what they're doing. And if the social media platforms that they use lend to that, that's information that you can also harness towards your buyer persona. Now, pain points are a little more difficult to pin down on public sites. Most people are not very vocal about their frustrations, inconveniences, obstacles, or inconsistencies. However, what they are very vocal about is dissatisfaction. How many of you have ever written or received a negative review on a product or service? Be honest. No one's ever given a negative review on something or a 1-star review? Okay, you all are angels. It happens. People comment on your business, and people tend to be more vocal about the negative than the positive, unfortunately. However, if there is an opportunity for someone to review, if you set up your Google My Business page, or if you have reviews activated on your Facebook, then you can also still use that information towards your buyer's persona. Do not shy away from the pain points. They are an important part of this process. Why? Because it's speaking directly to a need that's not being met. And it's an opportunity for you to meet the need of your consumer. Lastly is their purchasing product. This is the portion of where we generate our sales from. It's important to understand who your audience, the role that your audience plays in their purchasing or buyer decisions. Are they the primary person? Are they purchasing for themselves or for others? Do they have a potential lifetime cycle? Is there a frequency to when they use or purchase your product? Are there barriers to them for purchasing? Maybe you don't have in-app purchases set up. If you don't have a mobile store, if you don't accept credit card, or if you only have maybe a Cash App or Venmo versus a Square or a payment POS system. These are some of the things that you need to consider when you're creating the buyer persona around the purchasing process. How does your customer do transaction? Who are they doing transaction for? Are they purchasing your product for themselves? Are they purchasing it for somebody else? How does that impact the frequency of when they buy? So we're gonna do another activity in our breakout groups. So here we're talking about specifically gathering persona data from social media, as it is the free tool that you can utilize. Most of you are already on it, and it can help you really craft this in a very smart and innovative way. So we have 3 different people who are all at varying portions of their online journey and online use. So Ty utilizes social media, specifically Facebook and LinkedIn, to post financial tips and to connect with finance companies. He also has a Facebook group called Throwback Tigers that allows him to connect to his college graduating class of 2010. Cara is a self-taught at-home chef. She posts mostly on Instagram and TikTok videos about cooking great meals on a budget and in small spaces like her dorm. She has recently started to review cooking tools from Amazon. And then lastly is Liza. Liza is a work from home mother of 2. And she has started a mommy blog on Facebook to connect to other remote moms in the area to set up play dates with the kids. Her kids are elementary aged and they have a gluten allergy. So Liza is always watching reviews on the best gluten-free snacks online. So let's get into our groups and think about what segments of the buyer persona can be gathered from this information. Can we get demographic information, psychographic information? Is there information on their purchasing process, on their influences? He graduated 2010. He's probably in his late 20s, early 30s if he graduated from college in 2010. We get the demographic information from him. We know about his professional status. He clearly works in finance. And we know that he has influences and information sources around finance, right? Same thing for Cara. We know that she's a millennial at best, a woman. We know that she's located in a dorm. We know about her behaviors. her psychographics. We know that she cooks and does reviews. She does influences and information sources. She reviews cookware from Amazon. So those are her information sources. And her purchasing process. She may be purchasing those products on a budget, because part of her profile online is that she does cooking on a budget and in small spaces. We also know a lot about Liza. We know that she's a woman and she's a mother, so she's of childbearing age to some extent. We know her psychographics. Most of her behaviors, we know that she works from home. Most of her behaviors are centered around her kids and their needs. All of her interaction online is based on finding people for her kids to play with, finding foods that her kids can have that won't disturb their gluten allergy, right? So we know we could deduce her purchasing process online mostly isn't for her. It's for her kids. So would a makeup ad go towards Liza? No. But if you make baked goods or you make product that is gluten-free and kid-friendly, then there's opportunity for you to target Liza, because Liza's social media presence and her buying process, her purchasing process is not for herself. It's for her kids based on what. So those are the ways that you can start to, and that's really insightful information. That's the difference between targeting her for hair care products or something that she would use personally and targeting towards something that she is actually actively looking for and engaging with online, which is the kid-friendly items. So family-based items would be more geared towards her. And if you have a product or service that's more family-oriented, you could build a buyer persona around her. Right. Melissa says college ages 16 to 25 and up. Exactly. And there's certain financial parameters around being in college as well. So you can deduce a lot more information than you think by understanding how people navigate on social media, understanding how they would then engage with your product or your service as well. And then when you go to fill out your buyer persona, you can list those things out. So towards your deck, this is what your buyer persona template could look like. It's just a clear way to lay out all of the information in one place about the different personas. It helps you to keep track of your audiences. So that way, when you move into strategy, you have a point of reference for it. So now we're going to discuss, we've discussed about talking about the objectives, making sure that they're SMART objectives. We've talked about how to collect the data toward those objectives and how to build out target audiences using the buying persona. And now you're going to utilize all that information, all of those insights that you've gained from your research to customize your marketing message and your product offering. This will help to make sure that you're resonating with all of these audiences that you've worked so hard to develop. You start by optimizing your marketing mix, and then you identify your opportunities and the different insights that you've collected, and you can start to craft an effective marketing message. So utilizing the marketing mix. The marketing mix for retail consists of product, price, place, and promotion. Product can be everything from the variety or quantity of your product, the way you design it, the branding, the packaging, the services, if there's any warranties around your product. The pricing is the listing price. Is there a discount associated with your product? Do you allow for a scale on the pricing? Is there a payment period? And how frequently are your consumers purchasing? Placement is talking about the channels. Are you selling on social media? Are you selling in an e-commerce? Do you do brick and mortar or physical sales? Do you utilize catalogs? Is there an assortment of places where you can find? Are you with a distributor? And how much inventory do you have? And then lastly is promotion, your advertising, your sales and special offers, your digital marketing, and your social media marketing. For the purposes of defining your audience, We're going to focus specifically on placement and promotion. So when you're going through and doing your marketing mix components, we talked about utilizing what's free to us as small business owners, which would be your social media platforms and the different types of email marketing. Selecting your platform is very important and should be based on all of the data that you've collected on your buyer's persona. So on your target audience, you identify the platform where your target audience is most active, or you can also choose an email marketing platform that will help you to create segmentation. MailChimp and Constant Contact are the most common free formats to do email marketing. Then you can talk about your content strategy. On social media, it should be engaging, visual content, images, videos that showcase your product, showcase behind the scene, and even customer stories where it's applicable. In the emailing, you can create your personalized email content, which includes the product highlight or a promotion. If there's an educational aspect to your business, you can also share that as tips or checklists online through your email marketing. How often are you going to be sending out this content? You should be posting regularly on social media to maintain your audience engagement and without overwhelming them. You can also mix up the kind of content that you put on social media to keep everything fresh. The same thing with your email. You should be emailing consistently, either weekly or bi-weekly, sometimes monthly. You just don't want to be too intrusive. So if we think back to the example earlier about the Honest Thread, about the swimwear company, they could send a seasonal email. They could send campaigns around the seasons in which their buying is higher to make sure that they're always engaging their audience. Segmentation on social media. You take that buyer persona, and when you go to create your audiences for ads, you can use different audience labels and lists in order to create specific audiences. The same thing in an email. In the email marketing functions, you can do group emails. You can take all of your subscribers and then segment them out based on that buyer persona. So there may be a segment of your audience that you only reach out to when you have seasonal products coming out. And then there's another segment that generally engages with you all the time or buys products sporadically throughout the year that you can try to incentivize through certain email marketing. The visual branding has to be uniform on social media and in your email marketing if you choose to do it. Maintaining visual elements such as your logo, making sure the fonts are all the same, in the handles as close as you can get to having them the same across your platforms, and the same thing in your email marketing. The brand's visual identity and the email template should be cohesive to what you're putting out online and what the brand actually looks like in person. And then lastly is your analytics and your insights. You can monitor the engagement by looking at your likes and shares. You can track click links. Also, we talked about surveys and polls being done online, and that can be done for both email marketing and for social media. So I want you all to think about what portions of the marketing mix you can improve on and what areas have you not considered for your business. Are you using email? Are you segmenting your market out? Have you ever built a buyer's persona for the different audiences that you engage with? And then how you can incorporate all of this into your overall marketing strategy. So when you're doing this, you need to understand that your marketing research allows you to create the current retail trends and utilize that knowledge plus the knowledge on your target audience to identify new opportunities for your business. Here are some ways that you can find retail marketing trends for free. The first way is if you have a POS system or an operating system. Any transaction done through that system collects different data on the trends of your market. It'll let you know the timing in which they're more active. It'll let you know when they're buying and the quantity, how much they're buying, where they're located, if there's billing information associated with your POS system, where your audience is located. You can also do it through social media insights. We've talked a little bit about the different types of metrics in social media. If you want to know about the behaviors of your clientele, you can also find the retailing trends around that in your social media. And lastly is through the web analytics, if you have a website, or through your email click-through rate. How often are they opening your emails? Do you need to slow down the frequency of your emails? Could you send out more? Is this segment of your audience responding to emails while the other isn't? And you can also utilize that information to speak to what kind of content they like in the email. If they like just an ad for the upcoming sale, or maybe they like the tips or checklist format of an email where they feel like they're getting information and not just being sold to. All of that can be collated and recorded as part of understanding your marketing trends. So here are some current marketing trends that, according to Shopify, are really popular amongst retail. The first is sustainability and ethical consumption. People are becoming more aware of their eco footprint. They like to have a more eco-friendly product or brand. They're interested in zero waste packaging. And so retailers are now adopting the more environmentally friendly packaging solution. Upcycling and secondhand markets are also making a comeback. Facebook Marketplace is exactly that. It's a place where consumers can seek pre-owned items to reduce their environmental footprint. The second trend is the omni-channel retail experience. So this means that there's multiple ways for people to engage with your business. The most popular form of this is a buy online or pick up in store. This is where customers can order a product online and pick it up from a physical store. This helps to blend the convenience of e-commerce with the immediate fulfillment of not having to wait for a package. So think about the Amazon lockers. Think about how during the pandemic, you were able to shop online and people would bring the items to your car. There's also virtual try-ons. Retailers are implementing virtual trials for a solution to enable the customers to visualize the product before making a purchase. And then social commerce. Brands are leveraging all of the social media platforms to directly sell products and offer a seamless shopping experience or an in-app shopping experience. We see this with Instagram store, TikTok, Facebook shops as well, where you can integrate your website right into the platform, which allows for them to make the purchases in the app without having to travel to your site. And then lastly, the most consistent is the contactless and digital payments. Mobile wallets are becoming increasingly more common and almost the normal way for people to conduct business. So if your goal is a certain amount of sales over a certain amount of time, have you done what it takes to make sure that your audience, according to the buyer persona and their purchasing process, is able to do their purchases and transactions with you in the way that is best for them? Do you have digital wallets set up? Is there a way for people to scan QR codes, to use touch-free payment in their physical store or at the farmers markets, wherever you're doing that in-person retail transaction? Are you still cash-based, or is there a digital way for people to pay? And in some instances, people are starting to accept cryptocurrency. Again, that would be something that you could assess based on the persona of your buyer audience and also the market research that you've conducted. So we are out of time a little bit. We're running a little bit over, but I do want you all to think about the best practices for each of the marketing trends that we discussed. What would the best practice look like? The reason I want you to do that is because this is where you have an opportunity to create new niches in your market and to satisfy needs. So for the eco-friendly, maybe there's a best practice of being transparent about your supply chain, showing more of your eco-friendly packaging, creating education and awareness around that packaging. For the seamless integration, for the omni-channel, an opportunity to show how easy it is for people to order on your website and then have their items delivered or picked up. This can be a personalization. You can make this very personal to your clientele using their first name, having it be responsive in design, maybe automating parts of the purchasing process. We talked in Meta about the importance of a chatbot for customer service functionalities, so that way people can navigate your site with ease, and also social media integration, having the ability, if you have a product or service, to create sales within your social media platforms. And then lastly, to the best practices around the digital payment platforms is to make sure that you have secure transaction processes. Make sure that it's user-friendly and easy to interface with, and you can even provide promotions and incentives around using digital payment. So here are some more tips to think about. This came from HubSpot. It talks about meeting shoppers where they are, what they call phygital, which is that hybrid of digital and in-person retail. What are some of the things about your return process? If there's dissatisfaction with a customer, is that return process easy to navigate? Are you utilizing Meta? Are you utilizing the business suite to create a uniform and seamless transaction for your business or for your retail products? And then hyper-personalization. Can people contact you? Are you using first name, last name in your emailing or in your targeted marketing when you have the information that you've created from the personas? So just some things to think about as you're constructing and trying to understand the opportunities that are available to you with the information that you have. Once you're able to establish those opportunities, you need to be effective in the marketing message. The 5 ways to do that is to make sure you speak to what drives your audience. It's going to be very different depending on the segmentation of the audience. So based on those buyer personas, what is it that drives your audience? Maybe it's their pain point. Maybe you satisfy a pain point need for them. Maybe it's the influences or resources that they have that drive them, and you can speak to that. It's always good to share a statistic or fact that pertains to your products. It just shows that you're knowledgeable about what's going on in your market. Being personable gives an engaging feel and makes people feel like you're not just selling to them. And using language that cultivates trust also assists in a more personal feel from your buyer. And always be brief but insightful. Make sure that your messages are captivating. Make sure that they're speaking directly to your audience and their needs. And that way you're not overwhelming the customer with information. So here are 2 examples of some messaging. The first is a chain, a jewelry company, and the paid ad says, "Design with our friends in mind, shop the full collection." It's not great. It's not great. They're not giving any information around the product. There's not really a call to their specific audience. It's just a generalized statement about the product with the friends in mind, versus Apron that put a balanced diet can be on our Weight Watchers recommended recipes are proof. Get chef design delivered, easily track your smart points and meet your goals. Enjoy $100 off across your first 5 boxes. They used a personalized message. They used a statistic. They mentioned a company that more than likely their market research showed that their audience or whoever their buyer persona is targeting this toward either follows or is informed by, and they gave a monetary incentive. So you see the difference there of how you can utilize just those 5 easy steps, and it makes a big difference when you have the knowledge on your customers and on your target audience to back this kind of messaging. So we're gonna wrap here. I just want you all to remember that identifying your target audience involves understanding a lot about your customer, a lot more information than I think some people realize up front, but you can consider those factors when you start to make your detailed buyer personas. Your market research will involve gathering all of that information, not just about your customer, but also about your competitors. and also future customers. So maybe not your market right now, but people that you could seek out as a secondary audience. And you can get this information through surveys, interviews, online research, or data analysis overall. And stay informed about all of the trends in your industry, specifically in retail. This could shift from online shopping to personalized experience, things around sustainability and convenience. When you understand those trends, you can align your strategies with the evolving customer expectation. And then you utilize those insights from your research to customize your message and your product offerings that resonate with your audiences. You develop campaigns that address their pain points and the buyer's persona. So before we go, just a little homework for you all. I want you all to work on defining your target audience and identifying the opportunities and trends. You have all the information you need to create a defined target audience. You can utilize the outline that was provided for the buyer persona to do so. And then I want you to explain how you've identified the opportunities and insights within your market. Did you look at social media? Did you look at the marketing trends? Did you look at some insights from your sales system for your business? And then describe how you plan to tailor your products and services to meet the needs of this newly recognized audience. So that's all information that you will have. You'll have the slides as well as access to your consultants if you have already signed up for the Business Navigators. And I do apologize for us going over time a little bit. You will receive a recording for this as well, so you can review it on your own time. And with that, I thank you all so much for your time. Is there any questions or comments?